Alrighty, I was getting caught up in some self-education, but we are here today. Welcome to the Inner Creator Coaching Walkthrough Session 3. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be here with you all. This Inner Creating coaching process is an experience that I've gone through personally as an individual. And it is something that I want to share with you all because there was a time when I was not Anjulique the artist. I was Anjulique just trying to survive. And I was surviving at the bare minimum definition of the word. And I found that I couldn't really serve from that space. I couldn't really fully show up from that space. We have a tendency as human beings who grow up in certain circumstances or situations to think that surviving is enough, that just surviving for ourselves is all that we need to do in this life. Has there ever been a time when you felt like life was just meant for you to make it just go day to day, moment by moment, doing the best you can to just make the ends meet? That was definitely me. And through my personal development journey, through my self-discovery journey, through my spiritual development journey, I learned the power that lies within me and the power that I can use to create a life that I desire to live. And so that's what this Inner Creator coaching process is about. I'm going to grab me a pen real fast so I can write down some notes while we're going through this. And if you are interested in catching the replay, they are still available. If you want to find them in a more condensed version, they are up on YouTube, and you can search that instead of having to go through the page. I'm not sure if there's a way to like put them in a collection on Facebook, but I put them together on YouTube so you can watch them collectively. So today we're going to be talking about session 3. Last week and the week before that, we talked about the fact that you are created, connected, that you are already connected to the creator. Your inner creator is the creator. We talked about that during the first week. So we're really just re-recognizing that connection. And then last week we talked about what separation are you imagining? We have this powerful imagination, this powerful tool that our minds create energy. They create images. They create ideas. And we use that powerful energy of our mind to build separation between ourselves and our inner creator. We tell ourselves, oh, that isn't something I can do. We tell ourselves, oh, I'm not capable of doing that. That isn't meant for me. How many of you have been there? I have definitely been there. And what is important to realize is that if we are imagining this disconnection, if we are imagining this separation, oops, my screen just went black for a second. She's been having a little issues every once in a while, but it's okay. We're working through it. But if we're imagining these connections, we can reset our focus. We can reset our intention. We can imagine new things. You feel me? So this week we're going to be talking about creating a clearer connection through release. And my intention for this session is to really support you with understanding that, again, we are imagining this disconnection, We are imagining that we are separated. And there are different things that we're attached to, whether those be different beliefs or ideas, situations or circumstances, people. We have these attachments that we can release in order to create a clear connection. So today we're going to be talking about that. So welcome in. And before we really dive into the conversation, I want to remind you that when you do book a session with me to do coaching, it is a confidential conversation. Yes, I am sharing this process and I am an open book. And we are here on the Facebook things or here on the YouTube things live. And that's how I'm choosing to share. But as a professional with a code of ethics, I will not be sharing any part of your process when we have our private coaching sessions. And if you feel like you would like to share your experience, share your perspective, share about your coaching session, that's all available for you to do. But again, as a professional, my code of ethics, I will keep our conversation confidential. So again, what we're looking to accomplish during this session today is to address the attachments and selecting strategies for releasing them. So again, you're aware that you're already connected to your inner creator and that there are certain attachments shifting your focus away from that connection. You're not rebuilding a connection. You're not creating a connection. You're already connected. We are already connected. There's just those separations that we are imagining. There's those things outside of us, external circumstances, situations, individuals that we're putting more focus on than we're putting on the inner creator, when we're putting on the connection that we already have. So now it's time to create with your powerful imagination a detachment strategy. A detachment strategy from those external distractions. Without a strategy to release and refocus, it's like knowing the windshield on your car is dirty and just hoping that it gets clean. Just hoping that the rain will wash everything off. Even though we know, like, when it rains, you're like, oh, that rain will clean my car. Rain has sediment in it. Rain has sediment in it. And people come out and they're like, oh, it has rain spots on my car. It's not like actually like shiny clean like I want it to be. That's how we can be when we recognize that, oh, there's things in my life that I am attached to or that are distracting me. They'll just go away. I would like to say, let's put a strategy in place. Let me suggest that we put a plan in place so that we're not just hoping that they get, that they dissolve, that they just find somewhere else to be. Because if you're continuously putting attention on them, even if it's, oh, I don't want to think about this, you're going to keep thinking about how you don't want to think about it, and it's going to stay in your life. So, like, again, it's as if if there isn't the windshield wiper or the squeegee or the fluid, the dirt will stay there. The rain is not going to wash it off. And yes, some attachments are easier to release than others because they're fresher or they weren't as deep, while others have been there for so long and were so impactful. They seem like a permanent part of who you are. You know, those really dry, crusty bird poops on your windshield? They seem like you got to break the windshield to get them off. However, with intention and consistency, we can transform, wipe clean, and release anything that disrupts our view and doesn't serve us. So from what I understand about releasing attachments is that you have to find something else that you're going to focus on. You have to, first, you have to address the fact that you were attached, which we did last week. But again, as part of the release process, addressing the fact that you have an attachment, address the fact that you have an energy connection with whatever it is that's distracting you. You have to acknowledge that it's there first. Be aware. Step one, be aware. And then take accountability. Take accountability to release it, intentionally release it, verbally, written, release it, and then find something new to replace it with. Something that Stacey Henry Carr, one of my good friends, taught me is the release and replace strategy. So if you're having a thought that you don't particularly want to have, like you're self-deprecating, you're being overly critical or judgmental, or you're just going down a spiraling train of thought that you don't want to be going on, you say cancel that thought. So for instance, I'm not a good running isn't meant for me, and you're doing your best to be more healthy and you want to get more cardio in, and then you just like, running isn't meant for me. Cancel that thought. As soon as you are aware, cancel that thought. Running isn't meant for me. Cancel that thought and replace it with, I am learning to be more active, or something along that nature. I'm giving myself grace with being more physically active. I am learning how to appreciate the results of running. Replace that thought. And you have to do that over and over and over again, because the mind is already set in certain pathways and certain thinking patterns. And so we have to be diligent with our release and replace. So I want to ask you, what practices of release have you come across before? Stacey got that practice from somebody, and I can never remember who she got it from. So I just like Stacey. I'm like, Stacey told me. Well, she is the one who taught it to me. So shout out to her and whoever she learned it from. And I've also heard of different practices of release with like the writing, and then you tear it up or you burn it. I've also heard of a very interesting story where someone wrote down what was frustrating them or bothering them, and they put it in their pocket until it just like disintegrated and it just dissolved. Because that's what happens if you allow things to release and let them go. They will dissipate, they will disintegrate. But you have to be intentional about your taking action to do that. If you're ignoring something, if you're dismissing, if you're downplaying, it's not going to be released, because there's going to be that little seed hanging out in the back of your mind. It's like, I still remember that thing because I haven't addressed it, and it's just hanging around in my brain, and I'm just gonna keep trying to ignore it. Oh, it keeps coming into my face and into my atmosphere. Okay, I can't ignore it anymore. And it's a cycle. And the only way to get off of that cycle is to say, hey, I'm having this thought, I'm living in this pattern, I'm inviting this energy, and I don't want that anymore. I don't want that anymore because it's not having, because it's taking up space for what I do want. It's distracting me from what I do want. So I'm going to address it, acknowledge it, and I'm going to release it. And as I release it, I'm going to replace it with what I do want. And that's what we're going to be talking about next week. We're going to be discussing different practices that we can use to create more of the life that we do desire to live. Okay. I'm trying to look up this thing here so I can give you the accurate title of what we're going to be discussing. So, strengthening connection through personal practice. And that personal practice is going to be the things that you continuously do, the new habits that you're building. And let me tell you, as somebody who has had to build a whole new version of himself, essentially, and be open to newer versions of myself emerging, that really takes accountability. Having somebody to be there with you, having a community that is supportive and also elevating and evolving is so essential. Because doing it by yourself, trying to do it by yourself, raise your hands if you're trying to do it by yourself, it's challenging. And I found like having support, having community is so powerful. Even now in my journey, I have to remind myself, like, take advantage of the fact that you know all of these beautiful humans who have so much love to give, who have powerful stories and journeys of their own that you can glean from, because that can help you stay in that practice. So let me ask you this as well. Do the attachments you're releasing seem fresh or aged? In the example that I did with the car windshield, there's like those like little splats from like a bug or something, and then there is the crusty bird poop, where you parked your car under a tree and this bird just went to town. You know, it was like, oh, this is the perfect place for me to go to the bathroom. And you kept being like, okay, I'll get it. Okay, I'll get it. Okay, I'll get it. And now it's been 2 weeks and it's crusty. Really take account of what stage that attachment that the main attachments that you're looking to release are in. What stage are they in? How long have they been there? Where did they come from? What triggered that attachment? I would say for me, one of my main attachments was being a people pleaser, and in a way where I was not so much like a doormat type of person, but I wanted to have copacetic relationships with people. And that attachment to pleasing people led me into relationships, work situations, and just life experiences that did not serve me, because I wasn't looking to serve myself. I wasn't looking to honor myself. I was looking to be there for other people and support other people and help other people feel comfortable. And I realized that that attachment came from growing up in a household where I felt that I had to ease tensions, not because things were overly tense all the time, but because I wanted things to be more peaceful. And as a child, that's kind of what we want. We want to be in a place where we feel safe and we feel seen and we feel heard. And that really only comes when there is ease in communication, when there is peace in relationships. And so anytime it felt like there was some tension in the air, I would do my best to like make a joke or over be overly kind or like be supportive and try to play both sides of the field, um, and just kind of be like, hey, this person, like, you're a cool person, you're good, and then be over here like, hey, you're a good person, you're cool. And I did that in school too, did that in work, did that in my relationship. And I discovered that when I released that, when I acknowledged it, okay, when I acknowledged that I was people pleasing because I grew up in an environment where I felt like I had to do that in order to live in the type of situation that I wanted to live in, I was able to recognize that, oh, what would actually serve me more in creating an environment that I want to live in is inner peace. And that inner peace comes from setting boundaries. That inner peace comes from self-awareness and recognizing that if I am in a relationship with someone, whether that be like a work relationship, friendship, romantic, that I should understand what my needs and desires are and advocate for them. And that if someone else is upset or frustrated or feeling like their needs are not being met, be open to communicating about that, but it's not my job to fix it. It's not my responsibility to make someone's life easier or better or more pleasant. It's simply not my responsibility. And that was something that I picked up as a child, and I had to acknowledge that. So that was a bird crusty. That was a bird crusty on my windshield. And it was blocking my view. It was making my view of the world where I had to like keep putting my neck around and be like, am I close to the curb or not? And I wasn't really addressing it before I started to get into these communities, into these conversations where people were being open and vulnerable about the experiences that they had gone through. Before, listen, Stacey Henry Carr, she's a hypnotherapist and a child abuse trauma specialist. And we did this hypnotherapy session on the beach in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. Literally just on the beach. And she walked me through this experience of connecting with my inner child and noticing what her experience was. And it led me to realize that all of that anger, all of that pain, all of that frustration, none of that was me. None of that was me. None of that had to do with me. None of that had to be put on me or a part of my responsibility. That was someone else's experience. Those were other people's experiences and their way of choosing to express what they were going through. It had nothing to do with me. And I did not have to take that on because I am joy. I am love. I am happiness. That is me. I am peace. That is me. Mostly the joy and the love. That's really what was radiating from my heart in that moment. I was sobbing on the beach, just like crying and giggling because I'm like, I felt so free. I was like, none of that is me. None of that has anything to do with me. And that really helped me to release that attachment to people pleasing and placating and performing. So I'm asking you, what stage are your attachments in? Are they fresh or are they aged? Most of them, if we really look into it, they are from our childhood. I've learned this from being around a lot of childhood experience specialists from a variety of uh, industries. And it's really powerful when you allow yourself to see your inner child and hold them and love them and respect them and the experience that they had, and let them know, hey, we don't have to hold on to that anymore. We don't have to live from that space anymore. We can release that. We can release that. And yeah, some things are fresher. Some things are fresher, like you have an attachment to social media. You have an attachment to a certain um, influencer or something of that nature. It's okay to acknowledge, like, oh yeah, maybe I spent a little too much time doing this. Maybe being so into this other person's life or into the social media where I'm into everybody's life, maybe that's distracting me from creating my own life. So yeah, we can create a clear connection through release. And next week we'll be talking about strengthening the connection through personal practice. Because again, once you release these things, you have to replace them with something. Release what you don't want, replace with what you do want. So yeah, that is our conversation for today. The visual work that is coinciding with this session is, to the best of your ability, illustrate your attachments. Put them on paper. See them with your eyes. Create it with your hands. Because whatever you are feeling, whatever you imagine them to be or look like or feel like, that is unique to you. And when you can see it with your own style of expression, you can really say, I see that. I acknowledge that. I'm aware of it. And I'm going to release it now. And it is up to you if you want to destroy it, or you want to hang it on a wall so you can recognize it and remind yourself that that is what you're releasing, or you want to put it in a drawer somewhere, you want to bury it in your backyard, whatever you want to do with it, it's up to you. But get it out on the paper, draw it out, get a visual, peep that attachment, be like, is that you? I see you, and I'm releasing you. And again, during these sessions, I won't be particularly going through the visualization activities, but I do invite you to try it out for yourself. And if you do, when you do, definitely reach out to me. Tell me your experience. Tell me how this process is treating you, because I would love to get that feedback. And if you would like to book me for a discovery call, I have my Calendly link up and available on my website. Woo! So you can book that easy peasy, and we can get on a call and see if this process is right for you, and see if there's another way maybe I can support you. So the self work, because you know there is homework, okay? The visualization, that's something we're going to be doing during our conversation, during the process. But after, the week between that session and the next session, I want you to write out the attachments you desire release and how it served you and why it no longer does. Then write out the practice that you will replace it with that will strengthen the connection to your inner creator. So you can either do it like this way, where it's one column that this is what I desire to release, this is how it served me, why it no longer does, and this is the practice that I'm replacing it with. Or you can write it this way and say, this is the attachment that I'm releasing, this is how it served me, and this is how it served me and why it no longer does, and this is the practice that I'm choosing to replace it with. or whatever way works for your brain to put it on page. But write it out and write out the process. This is where I'm at. This is how it served me. This is why it doesn't serve me anymore. This is where I'm going. This is what I do desire. This is where I am now. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Definitely let me know how this served you. And again, if you would like to book a 30-minute discovery call with me, the Calendly link is on my website, anjulique.com, ANJULIQUE.com. You can go to the Reach Me page or to the services page. You should be able to find a button there. It's all over. So yeah, I appreciate you taking this time today. Powerful conversation. Again, I apologize for the slight tardiness, but still a beautiful conversation. I'm still here if you need support. And I really encourage you to take that awareness, accountability, and then take the action, accountability. Because you are in the right place at the right time to make the decision to be accountable and create the life that you desire to live in. So I will see y'all next week. I appreciate you watching. And yeah, thanks for being here. Bye.